The debate on seasonal and long-running anime has been going on for a long time. However, long-running anime have taken a hit in recent years. With the fall of Naruto and Bleach, two of the biggest long-running shows are no longer on air. Naruto ended in 2017 and has recently resurfaced with Boruto. Well, you know, resurfaced is kind of a stretch, but it is what it is. Also, the Bleach anime got cancelled back in 2012, leaving only One Piece to be the last of the big three. Now, if you do not know what the big three are, they are basically the leading shonens of the 21st century era, them being One Piece, Naruto and Bleach. The big three isn't an official name, but it's something that the anime community has come up with throughout the years when referring to the lead shonen shows and biggest shows that are currently airing. Now, moving on forward to 2018, the big three could be considered to be One Piece, Boku no Hero Academia or My Hero Academia, and Black Clover. Even if you dislike any of these shows, you cannot deny that they are very successful and they are the future of the shonen genre. Even if you think Black Clover is shit, and I kind of agree with you on that one, the Black Clover anime isn't on the same level of My Hero, at least at this point, but you cannot deny that it has a big audience, especially in Japan. Having said that, what is the difference between seasonal and weekly or long-running shows, you might say? Well, I do so believe that there is a huge difference between the two, but the most obvious would be that seasonal is produced in a season format, where most of the time they are produced by the ratio of 1 per year. However, there are some cases like Attack on Titan, for example, where the gap between seasons is longer than normal. This is mostly caused because before they even start making episodes for the season, what they do is they plan on where they are going to end the season off, what chapter they are going to end it off, and if they will by any chance catch up with the source material. In this case, on Attack on Titan, the manga. If this happens, they will have to wait more years, so the manga is more ahead. This can also be because of lack of animators at the time. Maybe they are working on another project or even budgeting problems. Anyway, a few examples of recent seasonal anime would be Boku no Hero, Attack on Titan, The Seven Deadly Sins or Nanatsu no Taizai, Overlord, the Fate series, Code Geass, One Punch Man, and so much more. I won't name all of them because there is so much in this era. You can also say that Black Clover is a seasonal anime, but I mostly consider it as a hybrid between seasonal and long running, since it is over 50 episodes long and not longer than 100 episodes. I believe what truly qualifies as a true long-running shonen anime is to have over 100 episodes and must be produced weekly with little to no break. Examples of long-running anime, which I'm sure most of you have seen many of these by now, including Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Hunter x Hunter, Dragon Ball Super, etc. If you look into it, you would come to a conclusion that long-running shows are lacking in this day and age. There just isn't as much as there are seasonal anime. One big reason of this is because of the animator crisis in Japan. If you do not know, in Japan, unlike in the US, animators are paid a shit pay. I mean, considering what they do, animation is really hard to do and they are paid sometimes below the minimum wage, and even while working twice the normal hours in a week. So yeah, I do think that's the main culprit to why seasonal anime is the main format of anime this day and age. The lack of animators make it so it's difficult to keep up with the schedule on a weekly basis. However, that doesn't conclude that seasonal anime is better than long-running anime. In fact, I'm making this video strictly because I do think that seasonal anime is a much better format. Now let's look at the pros and cons of having a seasonal anime over a long-running one, starting with the pros first. What I'm going to do in this segment is I'm going to pick a certain series to be able to compare between each other. For example, taking Naruto and comparing it with Boku no Hero Academia in terms of their format. Not as a series I'm comparing them, but only the factors that are affected by their format. Obviously the format being the seasonal anime and the long-running anime stuff. The most annoying thing to start off with, and I'm pretty sure that most of you will agree with me on this one, is the implementation of filler episodes. Filler episodes, those of you who do not know, are episodes where they basically lead to nowhere in the story. They are not adaptations of the manga and their only use is to pad the anime so that it doesn't catch up with the manga. In a way, I kind of understand why there needs to be filler, but it can be extremely annoying. Let me make an example of Naruto for a sec. Mind you, Naruto has over 40% filler ratio. Out of 720 episodes, it has 315 which are filler. Before I proceed, I must warn you that there will be slight spoilers of the Naruto series. With that said, during a pivotal moment in the show, during the war arc, when everything is in its climax, they put filler episodes, where there is absolutely no need for them since the manga was already over by then. Comparing it to Boku no Hero, which is a seasonal anime, out of 38 episodes, only one episode was filler. And mind you, that one episode wasn't bad for a filler episode. Since seasonal are not constantly on air, they do not require filler episodes. If they are catching up to the manga, all they need to do is take a break for a year or two, similar to what Attack on Titan did. Another important point is the pacing of a show. Granted, this can be both a pro and a con depending on how they execute it, but for now, let's look at the positive side. Generally speaking, a normal anime episode of 24 minutes covers 2 to 4 chapters of manga material. That is considered to be the normal and acceptable pacing that an episode should have. However, many of the long-running anime at a certain point of the show where they are catching up with the manga, they start to pad a lot of scenes and add what's called an in-canon filler, or sometimes even straight up filler with the canon material. They end up adapting less than 2 chapters an episode. Let's look at the One Piece anime for example. One Piece is produced by Toei Animation and they generally do not do a lot of straight up filler episodes. Their method is adding in-canon filler in their episodes and constantly adapting manga material each episode. However, they only end up adapting 1 or sometimes even less than 1 chapter an episode, and that is terrible pacing. Granted, it's not their fault that One Piece has gone for so long that it's inevitable that they were going to catch up sometime, but I would rather prefer having long filler arcs between arcs than having so much padding in episodes. Looking at the other side, seasonal anime normally adapt 2 chapters an episode. That additional chapter an episode can be more impactful than you might imagine in terms of quality. Now you might say that for example Bleach had a lot of episodes that covered up to 4 chapters, hence this point only applies to the One Piece anime, but since it is long running, it's almost impossible to have a consistent pace, and that's why seasonal anime have better structured and consistent pacing. Now what about the quality? When I talk about quality, what I'm looking for is the animation point of view of the show. I will not be considering the writing aspect of it since they are all driven from the same source, that is the manga. This is almost an indisputable point. Seasonal anime have better animation, period. Well, at least greater consistency in the animation department. When I say greater consistency, I mean that every episode is going to look either above average or amazing. When in long-running shows, mostly a typical episode is animated with a lot of still shots, and then a climax episode is animated beautifully. For example, the final fight between Naruto and Sasuke was done phenomenally good, whilst almost every fight of Attack on Titan is above average or stunning. Considering that a generic seasonal anime is 13 to 25 episodes long, it's obviously going to have better animation since the staff will have a lot more time to polish their material, whereas anime such as Dragon Ball Super, where the schedule is so tight that every week there's pressure on the animators regarding their deadlines. Yet another important point is series fatigue. Constantly watching the same show weekly, people start to get bored with it. This is what series fatigue is. In the case of seasonal anime, there isn't as much fatigue as there are in long-running shows, since there is a gap between certain episodes. In fact, I would even say that the gap creates hype for the show, keeping people in check. Now what about cons? What does seasonal anime do worse than long-running? One of the main things that people hate is that they have to wait a whole year or so for a continuation, and that is understandable. And sometimes a continuation doesn't even take place, whether it gets cancelled or the studio just won't do a season 2. I've got to admit that is a very annoying and frustrating thing. Now the next point I think is the most plausible thing to have. It is that they sometimes skip parts of the manga content in the anime. This can be both caused because the anime is being too rushed, skimming through manga panels like crazy, or they just decided to skip a certain part. Now if you are especially a manga reader of such anime, for example The Seven Deadly Sins does this a bit, even Magi, you will be kind of pissed off. I do admit sometimes the pacing is too fast, and while I like fast-paced storytelling, there's a limit you must not cross. The last point that I'm going to bring out is that seasonal anime tend to change studios more frequently. At least they are more vulnerable to do so. A recent example of this is One Punch Man changing studios from Madhouse to JC Staff. I don't think I have to say why this is bad, but for the record, let me point it out real quick. Different studios have different types of animations, art, etc. They have their unique touch to it. Changing studios from season to another might cause character model issues where they don't match between seasons. Since the viewers will have gotten used to the models by the previous season, it will leave a bad taste in their mouths changing it. Having said all that now, I do believe that the pros outweigh the cons pretty considerably, but honestly I believe that it just comes down to preference. While I do believe that seasonal anime is the future of the anime industry, I still respect long-running shows, and I love them, but it just comes down to what the better experience is. For me, I prefer fewer episodes with better quality and planning and decent pacing. Even though I have to wait for a season to come out, it isn't really a big deal. I mean, if you let me use Naruto again for another example, Naruto Part 1 1 had over 2 years worth of filler from episode 136 to 220, so you decide which is better. Now I didn't do this video to hate on any series whatsoever. I love all shows mentioned in this video, but for the sake of this video I had to point out their flaws. But anyway, what do you think is the best format for an anime series? Is it seasonal or is it long running? Comment down below with your answer. It's been Nightmare King. Make sure to like and share the video with your friends. Also don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.